Some of my friends on the other side of the aisle, including the ranking member, began sanctimoniously to say, we don't want to politicize this issue. Too important. Well, we didn't politicize the fact that the global health and security and biodefense desk at the National Security Council was dismantled by this administration 2 years ago. We didn't politicize the funding of health, public health in the United States in budget after budget that in fact made critical cuts, which we restored. We aren't the ones that called the alarm being raised about this pandemic as fake news. That came out of the President of the United States' mouth. And no gaslighting is going to hide that. And politicization. When the President of the United States finally did go down to CDC, with you, Dr. Redfield, he appeared wearing this hat, a campaign hat, in the middle of a crisis. Amen. We will not be lectured about politicization, and all of your words and sanctimony will not cover up the fact that this administration was not prepared for this crisis, and it put lives at risk, American lives at risk. We didn't have the tests we needed. We didn't have the diagnostics we needed. The president made patently false assertions, which Dr. Fauci correctly corrected, about the development of the virus. In fact, he was more concerned about what was happening on the stock market than he seemed to be concerned about American public health. And that's shameful, and you can't cover that up. And we will not be silent, nor will we be intimidated by charges of politicization in pointing it out, because lives are at stake.
This is Democratic lawmaker Gerald Connolly hitting back at Republicans who are somehow trying to claim that Democrats have been politicizing the Trump administration's response to the outbreak. To be unequivocally clear, every single second of the White House's response has been delivered solely with politics in mind. Even from the very beginning of this thing, Trump spent his time misinforming the American people about the impacts of this virus solely because he believed it would offer bad optics. And so all the way back in February, Trump said that we'd peaked at 15 cases and that it would soon dip to 5.
And the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to 0. We're going down, not up. We're going very substantially down, not up.
We now have over 2,600 cases and 56 deaths. The guy literally kept people on a cruise ship out at sea because he didn't want the number of cases to go up. And that's not me twisting his words or taking liberties. Trump himself said it.
I would rather, because I like the numbers being where they are. I don't need to have the numbers double because of one ship. That wasn't our fault.
But the fact is that Democrats should politicize this because from the very beginning, the Trump administration has destroyed our capabilities to defend against this kind of outbreak, while the Republican Party has enabled them every single step of the way. So yes, Democrats should politicize the fact that it was Trump's administration that fired Tim Ziemer, the senior director of global health security at the National Security Council, and never replaced him, before ordering the NSC's entire global health security unit shut down. He also got rid of Tom Bossert, Homeland Security advisor on the NSC, who coordinated the response to global pandemics, and never replaced him. And that Dr. Luciana Borio, the NSC's director for medical and biodefense preparedness, also left the NSC and was also never replaced. Democrats should politicize the fact that Trump proposed a 19% cut to the CDC, including a 10% cut to public health scientific services, a 3% cut to public health preparedness and response programs, and a roughly 7% cut to global health programs. He even cut funding to the CDC's epidemic prevention programs in 39 out of 49 countries, including China, which, in retrospect, maybe not such a smart move. Democrats should politicize the fact that Trump's administration declined to use the World Health Organization test that was produced all the way back in mid-January. By the end of February, the WHO had shipped tests to nearly 60 countries, some of which, like South Korea, are already getting it under control, but not the United States because our government refused them. We didn't even use the test as a bridge until the CDC could produce its own test. And so we were left with a delay that continues to this day, during which those who carry the virus have been able to spread it for months without knowing who was infected. And so rather than mitigate the outbreak, their decision exacerbated it, to the point where experts are now claiming that it's likely that more than 50,000 Americans have contracted the virus and are spreading it without knowing. Democrats should politicize the fact that when Trump should have been endorsing social distancing and healthy habits, he was out holding campaign rallies and complaining that it was just the Democrats' new hoax.
And this is their new hoax. But, you know, we did something that's been pretty amazing. We're 15 people in this massive country. And because of the fact that we went early, we could have had a lot more than that. We're doing great. Our country is doing so great. We are so unified.
So let's be real here. When Republicans start saying that we should just put politics aside, you know they've screwed up and they know it, because that party exists solely to cry victim. And so their claims that this is no time to politicize anything overlook the fact that this entire botched response by the Trump administration is a direct result of a constant, endless effort to politicize this thing. From day one, Trump has acted in a way that he thought would help himself. And because of that unilateral decision, a decision to benefit one single person, thousands of Americans are sick, dozens are dead, and it's only going to get worse by the day. So Republicans should think about that the next time they try to pin the blame on Democrats and yet again gaslight the American people.